we know that we can do hard things, and we know we can get through. We, not I. We know we can get through hard things with the right people. They know. Show me your group of friends, and I will show you your future.
Yep.
And that's just the fact. That's not a cliche whatsoever. So they've got rid of all negative criticizing people.
Other than walking, what were you doing in those 7 years?
Great question. So my company was Titleist Electric.
Okay.
So I filed bankruptcy on that in 2010. The downturn in the economy in 06 or 05, 06, I got hurt in 06. It was just too much. Mm-hmm. So I jumped back into school to become a physician because I wanted to go change the way things worked. And went to 4 years of undergrad at Dixie State. It's always going to be Dixie State. Okay,
mm-hmm. Right?
It is Dixie State.
Yeah,
exactly.
So 4 years of undergrad there. Got accepted to medical school at Rocky Vista. Mama said no. PA school. Mama said no. So I teach anatomy now over there.
Okay.
Public speak. Do my main career is speaking.
Yeah.
And then I do that on twice a week.
Awesome.
So during that time, I still had my electrical company, but dude, I did not care about that company.
Yeah.
All I cared about was walking.
Yeah.
And so I ended up losing my company, but traveled. I went over to China, had stem cells done. I did everything possible to walk again, and which gives me comfort today because I can look at both of you in the face and say there was no more to give.
Yeah.
I'd done everything, tried everything. I gave it everything.
Yeah.
There was no more to give. Here, backtrack just a little bit or a whole lot. So when I came home from St. George, I wasn't the man that my wife had married, that big, strong guy. And so I did everything in my power to destroy my marriage. Mm-hmm. I said every nasty thing because I didn't want my wife married to a cripple.
Yeah. So you were doing this intentionally or
100%.
You were, okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Just self-destruction now at this point.
Yeah, I think a lot. Yeah, right. You look at a lot of people that go through challenges. I think it's a natural thing. We see it in business, right? A lot of times people start struggling and then they do the exact opposite of the thing they should do just to blow it all up to have a reason why it all blew up.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Yeah, that's sad, dude. It's crazy. It's awesome though that you can recognize it because obviously going speaking and helping people. If you don't recognize it, it's hard to help people get out of it. And I feel like that self-destruction is a big challenge that people go through in life.
100%.
Yeah.
I was so scared she was going to leave me. Like, she was going to leave me. I knew that in my head.
You made that decision for her already.
You bet, bro.
So you're going to accelerate it.
This is my day one since 15 years old. Yeah. Here I am, 30.
And likely in her mind, she has no intention of leaving you. She's all in. She's all in.
She is all in on this thing.
This is so big. This is so important for people to get this because this happens a lot.
With tears coming down her face, with me saying every brutal thing. I was in my bathtub. I can see it right now. I was in my bathtub in the bathroom. She's standing at the sink, bawling. I'm saying everything she can I'm saying everything I can to get her to leave me. And she turns around with a marker and says, "What type of day will it be today?" She writes it on the mirror. You decide.
Yeah.
And it's still there today. Oh. And she turned around and said, "I didn't marry your legs. I love you. I'm not going anywhere. You can say whatever you want."
Wow.
Because she understood how scared I was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just so scared of everything. It's your first ride home in a car. Yeah. It's your first birthday. Everything's a first. And when you don't know the outcome of firsts, that's scary.
Yeah.
So, she told me she loved me. She wasn't going anywhere.
How awesome.
And that was the last day that I'd done something because I knew because of what I'd said and because all those nasty things, I knew this lady was not going anywhere.
Just kind of like, listen, you idiot. I'm
Right.
here.
And that's kind of what I needed.
I think
man.
that's a great piece of advice for a lot of women that struggle with alpha males that, that feel defeated.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I'm going to blow this whole thing up with me. If I lost, everybody's losing.
Dude, we felt, at least I felt like I was letting my family down. I was letting her down. I was letting everybody down. So I'm just push everybody away. And the hell with this. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And she's my rock. She's
awesome.
my iron. She's my day one. She's my everything.
Yeah.
That lady. And men, make sure your ladies know that's what they are.
Yeah.
If my house is burning down, I'm saving mama. And then if I got time, I'm going back in for the kids.
Yeah.
Everybody knows mama's coming first.
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
I agree.
So get to the point. I come out of therapy one day, go take my Oxycontin, take my Roxy's. I'm snowed. And my little girl, who was 12 at the time, asked my wife, now this is, she was 12, 8, so 4 years
later.
into it. Hey, Mom, what are all those pills that Dad takes? Are they really going to kill him? And for whatever reason, I heard her. I heard her. So I called up my doctor and said, hey, I'm going off all my meds. I'm done with this. And he's like, okay, but listen, we need to get you on Suboxone or Methadone to deal with your withdrawals.
Detox.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what those drugs were either. I'm like, well, what are those for?
Yeah.
And they're like, we use those for heroin addicts and for people coming off. I'm like, I'm not a heroin addict. I'm going cold turkey.
Yeah.
And click. And my dad came down from Salt Lake. Instead of putting me in a detox center, they took my wheelchair away. They came in the house, took my wheelchair away from me, and let me detox.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that is the worst experience I've ever had in my life, bar none. Sicker than hell. Anybody who's ever gone through narcotic withdrawal, it's the worst thing that you can experience. When I was growing up, there was a commercial where they'd take a hot frying pan and an egg and say, this is your brain, crack it in there. This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
That's false, man.
Yeah.
That's your brain coming off drugs for sure.
Yeah.
And you've got bugs under your skin. I mean, you guys can still see scars. You got bugs under your skin.
Itching, yeah.
And so finally, I get through the week. I'm clean of the toxins. And but now I've got this hole in my life that I filled with opiates.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many football games or soccer games. It doesn't matter what I put in that hole. It doesn't fill. It doesn't touch. And it took about 8 months until I could see, okay, there is starting to close. It's starting to close. 8 months. So yeah, you go through the chemical withdrawals, but then you've got this monster that you're dealing with every day still. That's all you did.
What did you do to get through those 8 months to fill that hole the best you could? What are some things you
read books? I never sat idle ever. And when I would get ornery or whatever, my dad, my brother, or my wife would be like, okay, let's go for a ride. Yeah. And we'd go for a drive in the car and we'd go wherever and still hit up the soccer games, football games, all that kind of stuff.
Idle mind is a devil's workshop, man.
It's a fact. And then coming back again, I know we've touched on this. Don't suffer in silence, man. Don't do it.
Yeah.
If you're suffering from something, and we are all suffering from something, ask for help because your man's going through something. Your man's going through something. Yeah. So, and I know you two are boys, man. Yeah. I know you got each other.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to feel safe, and there's a lack of safe groups for men.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ask, what is it? You ask a man if he's how he's doing. And he says, yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
He's not all right.
Yeah.
He's not all right. So I get off drugs. Life's good. Things are going great. My little 12-year-old at the time, she's going to get married one day. Well, that day comes. She's 23 at the time. She was 23. So September 25th of 2021. And what do dads do when their little girls get married?
And walk them down the aisle.
Damn right they do. Mm-hmm. And so we went from baptism to walking down the aisle, right? But now it's not to corner God. It's to be the best version of myself that I can be.
Yeah.
And to show up for the people I love the best way I can show up.
Yeah.
So we got it dialed in to where we could walk down the aisle with forearm crutches. Awesome. Single point canes. Sometimes I trip her up and everything. So she's like, hey, Dad, let's use the forearm crutches. Because for some reason on her wedding day, she wanted it to be all about her. I don't know.
Imagine that.
Right. It's weird. So we're getting ready for the single point canes. Well, February 12th of 2021, I'm going down to Mesquite. It's 8:30 at night and dark. I'm in the slow lane. Cruise control set at 80 miles an hour. And a drunk driver comes across the median. Now, I'm a mile short of the Eureka exit. Okay? So I'm not in the gorge, through the gorge.
Okay.
And a drunk driver comes across, and you know how wide those medians are.
Yeah.
And she hammered down. She goes through a bush or a cactus, something, takes out her front headlights, hits me head on at 120 miles an hour.
Dang.
So a 200 mile an hour head on impact.
So this is 15 years after the first accident, correct? Yeah.
And I'm walking. I'm not on meds anymore. I mean, I don't even know how life gets better at this point. Yeah. And as she hits me, I suffer spinal fractures again. My truck starts on fire. My hip's broken. My tib fib are sticking out of my leg on the left side. And I've got a dash cam. And my dash cam records the whole thing. And I'm in that truck, and I tried to push myself back up because I'm down where the brake and the gas are.
Wow. Okay.
And the engine is kind of pushed up over into the passenger side. So the whole dash is kind of over this way.
Thankfully, it went that way.
Yeah. Otherwise, and thankfully, I was alone, or the passenger
wouldn't have survived.
Probably wouldn't have survived. The lady that hit me, she didn't survive. It was a sad situation there too. But my truck starts on fire. This off-duty EMT with a fire extinguisher in her car puts the fire out in my engine compartment, comes back to me, says, hey, I'm going to go check on this other driver. I never saw her again. And I'm asking the fire department, I'm asking her, where's that EMT? What EMT? Yeah.
Wow.
So, I'm in there, and I try to push myself back up onto my seat. I can't do it. It hurts. I'm all broken up. So for a second time, I have to cut out of my truck with jaws of life. Second time, strapped to a gurney. Second time, life flight again to Dixie Regional this time. So what happened this time, and I suffered. So my first one was a T12 compression burst. The second one was an L4 compression burst, and enough had gone into my.
So was it below the cage?
Yes.
Yeah, below.
Yeah, below.
Yeah. Dang.
And a piece of bone went into my spinal cord enough to lose everything again. Everything.
Dang.
So 15 years of therapy, gone, just like that. But I am a huge believer that life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And so as I'm sitting in that, this is how annoyingly optimistic I am. I'm laying there in that truck, and I am busted. Like, this leg's way over here. It kind of goes straight and then goes this way. I can feel my foot's upside down and backwards. I grabbed it and trying to hold it in place. And I look at my body and I think, I am so grateful I'm paralyzed because this looks like it hurts.
Dang.
Oh my gosh.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So, and my dash cam's recording all this still. So they cut me out, put me in the helicopter, life flight me. But as soon as they're like, you're busted up, we need to get you some medication. And I'm like, I can't have any pain meds. I'm a recovering addict. Now, I've changed that verbiage. I don't consider myself a recovering addict. I went through addiction.
Yeah.
And so there's another label that I took off.
I like that.
I am not a recovering. I went through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not depressed.
I've never liked
depression.
the term recovery. I'm in recovery.
Yeah.
I don't like that term.
Or just people that place a label on themselves like, oh, I am this way for my entire life. Only if you choose to be.
Right, exactly.
Like,
it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning, everything is a choice. Like, you don't like a label, strip it today.
Yeah.
If it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't belong.
I've always said that. It's like on Halloween, some people dress up as a cowboy. Other people live that way every day. And the only difference is the way they see themselves.
Yep.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. So they take my height, weight. That helicopter starts. They push Dilaudid, and instantly as soon as I was just like, oh, there you are. There you are.
Yeah.
And it'd been 8 years, man. And instantly I was hooked again.
Damn.
So I'm laying there in my hospital room for the second time, and I've got the little blue button, and I'm counting the clock every 12 minutes. I can get myself morphine. And we go through this, but this time it's a whole lot different because the people I'd surrounded myself with and my team knew, okay, he likes this stuff a lot.
Yeah.
We're not going to let this happen for a second time.
Yeah.
So my little girl, through my first addiction, she kept journals. She's journaled her whole life. And she shared her journals with me when she was 18. And day one of her journals reads, my dad's going off all of his meds forever. Dig in, dig deep, get it done. Big smiley face. Right? Don't know what you don't know at 12.
Yeah.
Day 2, my dad is mean. Okay. He says mean things to my mom and my grandpa. All this is over pills. Day 3, I was on the shower floor, just sicker than hell. Shivering. My wife standing over me trying to control the temperature of the water. And I'd light her up and say mean things. She'd leave the room crying. My dad would come in. I would light him up. He would leave. Then my kids would come in and I would light them up. Anything to get a pill, man. Anything to get a pill. So anyway, day 3, my dad's as sick as a dog. He's on the shower floor. Now, day 4, I had taken a drug called Seroquel because I was seriously going crazy. It's an antipsychotic. It'll help me sleep because I hadn't slept in the 4 days. And my little girls, when my doctor brought over the Seroquel, he said, take one of these every night. Here's 4 boxes of them, 4 pills in each box. He leaves the room. I took all 16 of those bad boys.
Yeah.
And so luckily he was still there and my family was there. But I OD'd on Seroquel. And, but day 4 of her journals reads, today's the first day that I saw my grandpa cry. I want somebody to give my dad back all of his pills so he can be normal again. And then in big capital letters, my dad scares me. Yeah. Medication. And again, I had no intention. It was a slippery. I don't think anybody has the intention of, hey, I want to be an addict.
Yeah.
It turned me into a monster. And so now here I am come to 2021. They push that. And I kid you not, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I want that pain medication. But everybody around me knows. And so it was difficult again. I've been clean. Let's see, September 18th was my year mark. Truly, I've only been clean that long, guys, without opiates for the second time.
Wow.
But it was because of the people around me are like, no, like Dr. Clark, he's like, no, you got this. You got this amount, this amount, this amount, this amount. And when I don't care if you save them all up and take them on the last day, I don't care what you do with them, but you're getting less and less and less and less. And they weaned me off, and I couldn't have done it by myself.
Yeah.
And I raised my hand. I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
The pride in that situation was gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know what anybody else's pride is, but I'm proud of my kids, things like that. I think pride in those situations are good, but being proudful of, hey, I can do anything by myself. I don't need anybody. That's just not the right kind of pride.
Right.
Because it will be your downfall.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that's the difference between pride and arrogance, right? Arrogance says I can do this on my own. You can take pride in your work and things you accomplish and, maybe your kids and the way they turn out. But being arrogant is just, I did this all on my own. Right. That's like the whole saying, it takes a village to raise kids. Some people are so proud of their kids, which is awesome. Some people are arrogant about their children, thinking they did it on their own. Right. When really it was just this huge group of people that helped, right? Right. Same thing sounds like what you went through with your recovery and all the challenges you went through. So tell us about your kids now. Your kids have gone through this. Obviously, you've talked about your wife. Your kids are old enough now to watch you go through all these, watch you overcome 2 major challenges in your life twice. Yeah. How do you feel like it's shaped them? Like, how do you feel like this has impacted your children watching? Because I feel like that's really, the Bible says you judge a man by his fruit. And really your children are, I think, the ultimate reflection of who you became in the process and how they watched you overcome. So
Yeah, so our motto at our house is dig in, dig deep, and get it done. So that there are no excuses at our house. I do laundry, guys. I do dishes. I do all the stuff.
Yeah.
I mow the lawn, for heaven's sakes. And I don't have a riding mower, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, it's self-propelled. Okay, that's fine. But listen.
Hey, you get a pass for that.
That's right.
No doubt.
That's right. So
you should buy a rider, though. You should buy a rider.
You know what? My lot's so little,
man.
So I was like, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
My oldest son has memories of me walking and who I was before. My little girl has one memory.
Wow.
Just one. And it was actually of me running. And my youngest son has zero. Not one memory of who I was before, which is probably a blessing because he's the most like me.
Yeah.
So how is it? We know that we can do hard things, and we know we can get through. We, not I. We know we can get through hard things with the right people. They know. Show me your group of friends, and I will show you your future.
Yep.
And that's just the fact. That's not a cliche whatsoever. So they've got rid of all negative, criticizing people. Like my life's bomb. Their lives are bomb because they don't hang around people who are backbiters, or they're around people who support and love. And hey, your biggest fan.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then
it's not those people aren't in their lives; they just don't spend time with those people.
Right.
I think that's important.
Right. And in fact, I've watched it happen that the negative people are so uncomfortable being around that group of positivity, they exclude themselves voluntarily.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because they just aren't comfortable.
Not the same vibration, not the same frequency.
Right.
Right. They're not comfortable around them. Yeah.
And it's a real thing. Vibration and frequency is real.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
And if you can't vibe on the same, then you're not vibing.
Yeah, I've told this story before. One of my mentors told me because, I used to be really good at attacking negative behavior, from stage. We speak in front of these, but it would frustrate some people that were good. I didn't walk on, but they would see it wrong because I was attacking that behavior. And I asked my mentor, what do I do? And he says, he called them goats in a crowd of sheep. He says, if you feed the sheep, the goat doesn't have anything to eat. They either disappear or become sheep. So you just feed the good things, and then the people with those bad, they go away, like you were just saying. It's like if you just keep this, they feel so uncomfortable, they leave.
Wow.
Or they integrate into, they start becoming better people, which is influence, right?
True. It's
It's awesome your kids have seen this, because I guess, let me ask you this. Going through this, the man you talk about before, arrogant, self-centered, but really you were a stud, so it was really just your attitude.
Yes.
Because you're still that same man, right? You're still a stud.
Yeah.
What changed was your perspective and your attitude. Do you feel like the perspectives and attitudes you had prior to that original challenge has helped shape the relationship with your kids? Do you feel like you would have had as strong a bond with them and your wife? How do you feel like, I'm sure you've played this out in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel like this has impacted your relationships with your family?
I'm not married today without paralysis, without my accidents. I'm just not. My kids, just being honest, I don't like who I was.
Yeah.
How the hell are they going to like who, especially now that me and their mother are more than likely divorced? Mm-hmm. They have seen that a man and wife's commitment to one another. Your marriage certificate, that's a contract. Mm-hmm. We don't break contracts.
Right.
We're men of our word, and so they've seen that you can go through extremely difficult things as long as you don't try to do it by yourself. How many divorces do come from, hey, I'm going to fix this by myself rather than fix it with my spouse?
Or this is who I am and you're not going to change me. Or,
oh, my hell, right?
Yeah. Or you don't understand. And,
right.
All those self-centered perspectives.
Oh, my hell. And it's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about us,
exactly,
right?
Yep.
And so it's not, if people can get out of the me, this is how it affected me, or this is how look what I did, or whatever. It's not about you. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's about us,
Yeah.
and making this existence a better place by being the best human you can be. And the only way that I can become the best version of myself is by helping the two of you become the best version of yourselves. And that will spread. And then the negative criticizing people will by default fall off.
Yeah.
They'll fall off. And now you've got this group of powerful men who are humble.
Yeah.
But still, gentle is strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Strong isn't strong.
Yeah.
But gentle is strong. Gentle with your kids, gentle with your wife, gentle is strong.
Yeah.
Vulnerability, man. I'll ask you two. I know this is going the other way, but why is it so hard for men to be vulnerable? Why do you think it's so hard in your lives? In your lives,
I think I would say it's people worrying about what other people are going to think about them more than anything. I think that's why men are scared to be vulnerable. I think pride, it comes back to pride. I've been there in the past. It was like the stronger I am and the tougher I am physically, the more angry I could be, the more dominant I could be, the more aggressive I could be, the less the things I'm scared of will actually show up. But it's the exact opposite. And I think that comes from really caring about what other people think. But when I stopped caring about what other people think and I started caring about more of my actions and how they impacted others around me that I cared about, then I realized then it's about serving other people, right? I was just telling Jefferson this yesterday. I believe fulfillment in our lives, fulfillment and happiness are two different things. You can be happy and not fulfilled, right? You can have joy in your life, but not feel like you're doing something fulfilling. And I think fulfillment in our lives comes from serving other people. And that might be being the best version of ourselves. It might be physically serving somebody else. It might be going out and, some people get that through feeding the homeless or whatever it may be. Other people might be speaking on stage and serving other people through an inspiring story and having a good attitude. But yeah, I think pride and arrogance are one and the same, and that is thinking that we can solve it all ourselves. But I think it happens because we're so worried about the perspective of other people. Once we can get rid of that, I guess that perception that other people's opinions of us really matter, which they don't. The only thing that shapes those things are our character and our actions. And then we can start having good relationships, Because
those opinions that have been formed is from their experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they view maybe they view you guys as super successful or me as and they're going to hold that against it. Whereas, Tony Robbins, in my opinion, is super successful. Has affected hundreds of millions of people. That's success. In my opinion, success is not having $3 million in the bank. That's not success. There's so many people that I know and work with who have a lot of money and are just not happy.
Yeah.
They're not happy people. And then I know people who are dead freaking broke. They don't have two nickels to rub together, and they are out running and jumping and laughing with their kids, not knowing how they're going to pay the gas bill. But they're present.
Yeah, I think that I've always said, I believe, especially in this country, if you can have it all, you should have it all. And that's what, your shirt says inspire. I think that's what inspiring others is not letting someone off the hook because of one thing or another, but inspiring them to want to make changes to make their life better. That, again, they can be happy. You can be happy. But to live a fulfilling life means you inspire others.
Yes.
And if you're inspiring others, then you're going to have to go through some hard things. You were talking about your struggles through addiction, and something had disappeared for those 8 months.
Yeah.
And really, most people don't understand it. It is a chemical reaction in our bodies called dopamine and serotonin that have disappeared, right? Because you're getting that through drugs, and then when they're gone, you just can't find anywhere to get it. And so when you were talking about how long does it take, I think it takes as long as it takes for you to balance out those hormones, and the only way they're ever going to be balanced out is to reduce stress and increase hope.
Yep.
And then start doing things that make those things come back in our lives, which is a lot of times serving other people, is where that comes from in my mind.
I think so. What do you got?
So your question is, why aren't we more vulnerable?
Yep.
That was the question. So good answer, by the way. God, there's so many different thoughts I've got going on. What a great podcast has been. First of all, again, you just talked about inspire and inspiration, right? Maybe I'm different than others in this way, but when I see somebody who has the perfect life or gives the impression they've got the perfect life and they never screw up and they're the most fit and their family's just perfect. They got the perfect marriage and they got the perfect kids and they live in the perfect neighborhood and everything's great.
You mean when you're scrolling through Instagram?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. That doesn't inspire me.
No, it's almost defeating, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So as you exactly. So it's the opposite of inspiration for me, and I think it is for most people, right? And I think that, like you said it, so often, a lot of times when we're younger, when I was younger, a younger leader in business, and I'm still growing out of it. I mean, I think this is a lifelong process. But when I was a younger leader in business, I was so concerned about what are my people and my business going to think of me if this part of my life isn't perfect, right? Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of people follow me. I had a lot of people follow, but how much better would I have been if I would have allowed them into those parts of my life? And I'm not saying you also don't want to be negative. You don't want to be sharing all your problems.
Right,
That's not what I'm talking about. But being real and honest, I think in authenticity is inspiration. It's inspirational. And to see even when you were 30 years old and you were this tough guy and you're driving on your way to Cedar City, there were things in your life that if you would have probably been more open about with those around you, they already thought you were a stud, but how much more would they have maybe thought you were a stud if they knew, oh, he's struggling with this in his marriage or whatever, I don't know. But and I think if I would have been more that way, Jeff, I think you would agree when we were younger in our business, if we would have been more, I guess, I don't know if real is the right word.
I think you said it, authentic. I think I've always had a problem with the word vulnerable because it's like people imagine these guys crying. I don't think you have to sit in a circle and talk about your problems and cry.
You don't have to be
become better.
A boob, right? But yeah.
But I do think you should be authentic. You should be yourself so that other people can be inspired by watching you become a better version of yourself. I always said Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. He didn't say, let me tell you what my dream is, and you should have one too. He said, I have one, and here's what it is. And it inspires people today from his example, chasing his dream. But not everybody has the same dream as him, but yet his purpose still motivates people today and inspires people today to do better, but they're not even going for his dream. That his dream and watching him chase his dream and talk about having one inspires other people to go chase their dream and do something special with their lives. And I think that's the difference between authentic and vulnerable. A lot of people, maybe they're all one and the same, but that's kind of how I perceive being authentic. Just being real. Like, hey, look, we screw up. And it's okay to mess up. What's not okay is to sit and wallow in it. Mm-hmm. It's okay to become addicted. What's not okay is to accept it.
Or act like we don't mess up.
Yes.
I'm perfect. That's just not right. I think, we're studying Paul right now in the New Testament at church right now and talking about the armor of God, right? And it's interesting because you got the breastplate of righteousness and the shield of faith, and you got all that, your feet shod with, I can't remember all the exact things, but the sword of the Spirit, right? That's the sword is the weapon, but the weapon is the Spirit. And then what are the fruits of the Spirit? Meekness, temperance, patience. It's those words that sometimes meek doesn't sound very strong, but if you think being meek is weak, try being meek for a week, right?
Yeah.
And that, like you just said it, humility is strength, and it's that Tony Dungy book, Quiet Strength, right? Yeah. And there is something about that, when we become I think we can become like Jesus Christ. We can become like God. That's our whole purpose of being here, is to learn to be like them. And if we can become more like them, we don't have to be loud. We don't have to be. We'll be powerful because of the very way that we are. You coming in here today and speaking and just sharing your story is powerful.
Yeah.
It's not loud, but it's powerful, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah. It's also interesting if you talk about Paul. I mean, arguably Paul is one of, you talk about
he was
challenge.
A mess up. Yeah. he was a little bit of a mess.
One of the disciples, a mess up, but he was one of the most challenged
Paul
men in the scriptures. Yeah.
Really?
So,
because he was destroying the saints. He was not a good guy. And,
I had no idea.
So you think about that because God. I think sometimes people criticize. Well, how come this person's a leader in the church here or there or whatever when they've done this or that? It's like, well, God doesn't have anybody else to call but imperfect people.
Right.
Imagine how frustrated he is. He's got to pick somebody, right? And I think it's if we're willing to serve and we're willing to put our heart out and do our best. That's what God's looking for. He's looking for those that are willing, not necessarily those who are perfect.
Yeah.
And for those that are out there that are listening, you think, man, I'm not there yet. I'm not perfect enough, or I'm not worthy enough to serve. No. Are you willing? If you're willing, let's go.
Yeah, he wants your heart, not your treasures, right? He doesn't need it. He doesn't need anything. He already has everything you could possibly give. He just wants your heart. That's it. And the way we give our hearts is through whatever our heart's attached to.
Are you willing to serve? Yeah. There it is. It's not about you. It's about us.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm paralyzed and in a wheelchair, because I get everybody's A game, man. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to come up to me and well, I'm having a bad day or whatever. Like, I get everybody's A game. It's nice. And I got front row Joe parking. I don't wait in line at Disneyland. I mean, hey, it's a good thing.
I just don't go to Disneyland.
I hate Disneyland, man. I hate Disneyland. My kids like me to go to Disneyland, but I don't like Disneyland.
That's funny.
But I'm lucky that I know my purpose.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's to inspire and motivate. And God made that perfectly clear in that second accident. And there's no turning your back on something that has been shown to you. I don't have faith that that's my purpose. I know that my purpose on this planet is to inspire and motivate. And when he's done with me, then I'll be taken. But I had to go through all that shit before I became the tool that I am today. Pliable.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be my way. We can still get to the same end without it having to be my way.
Right.
So I'm lucky that I know my purpose, and I wonder how many out there are struggling with purpose.
I think most people, and I think that's because they avoid the thing that you had to confront, which was massive amounts of pain and challenges. Now yours,
and I don't think they realize they're avoiding it. Most of them,
no, they don't.
I think most are kind of going through life, kind of like zombies, just because of you go to school, you get a job, you get in your job, you just go through the routine, you live for the weekends, and it just becomes just kind of the way what happens, right? And you end up becoming this lost soul, so to speak, without even realizing you're a lost soul. And wake up. Well, it's time to wake up.
What's cool about your story, Matt, is you ended up in this situation, and it's almost like people say, oh, well, you had to do it, but you didn't, because you could have chose to just check out.
Amen.
Right? But when it got hard, and it wasn't like an immediate choice. You talked about, trying to, run your wife off, and, how you were treating everybody around you. So it wasn't an immediate choice. It was a choice that probably one thing poked at you, another thing poked at you, another thing poked at you, and you said, all right, enough's enough.
Yep.
And so I think, unfortunately, I've always said that I think the worst place anybody can be raised in America is middle class, because it was just never that bad, but it was never really that good either.
Right.
Life was just kind of mediocre.
Right.
And I think that's why if you hear a success story, it's usually they were either broke and had to go get it because they didn't have another choice, or they were really wealthy and their parents had high expectations of them and they had something to prove. And in your situation, it was like you had a choice to make. And I think a lot of people, Brandon, you're right, they don't realize that they're just making the choice to be mediocre. Mm-hmm. It's another biblical principle. It says, either be hot or cold, but not lukewarm, or I'll spit you out,
Right.
And I think that's just making a choice, like deciding what kind of life you're going to live. Are you going to live an inspiring life? Are you going to make a choice to become better? Are you going to make a choice to do more? It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not always easy for you.
It's supposed to be.
I guarantee there's some days you have pity parties. You say, I'm lucky, but man, you're in a wheelchair.
But this sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it easier, but what is inspiring in my mind is your perspective through it, and watching where you're at today through all the choices we know you could have made throughout that process, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why we get inspired by somebody who's made a lot of money, or somebody who's become a big spiritual leader or whatever. And it's not because of where they're at, but it's we know what kind of choices they had to make when it was tough.
Yeah.
And that was just moving in the right direction over and over and over without giving up.
My kids, you asked about my kids and how it's affected my kids. Growing up and before my accident, and even after, I'd tell them, you can be anything you want to be. You could do anything you want to do. And that's real.
Yeah.
That's real. Mm-hmm. So, and this is harsh. Here it comes. Everybody's listening. So if you can tell your kids you can be anything and you're not what you wanted to be, then what the hell happened? And how are you going to explain that to your kids? Like, okay, well, you go to a job that you hate every day. I know you hate it.
Yeah.
And we barely get by every month And so this was your dream, Dad?
Yeah.
And they're going to get to an age where they're going to figure out that either you are full of crap.
It's a harsh truth right there.
Or you're going to go all in. Go all in on yourself, for hell's sakes. Go all in. Fail. Dare to fail. I fail all the time. In my marriage, in my companies, but I fail forward.
Yeah.
I learn from that failure. I think, oh, that's what I did. Okay. Hey, what do you guys think about this situation right here that I did? How did you has this happened to you before?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how you handle it? Okay, I'm going to take that information. I'm going to go fail again.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process.
Would you say, we can finish up whenever you guys want, but we can keep going too. It doesn't matter to me. But would you say that's, I was just going to ask, what would you say is the key to happiness, fulfillment, joy? Is it continuing to move forward and failing forward and failing?
Real quick before, I want you to ask that question because I think this would be a great way to end. But real quick, I want to just point something out. The guy that hates his job, or the lady who hates her job, that's telling her kids that, just like you had a choice to make a decision to walk, they can make a choice to wake up, say, I'm going to enjoy today at work. And what that does is that opens up opportunity. Right, and
you raise your frequency, right?
Yep.
Yes,
there you go.
Because nobody wants to work with. If somebody walks into your job that is looking for, you're the perfect person to fill a role in their business or their company, where there's an opportunity for you. You're the person that they need, but you're not the person they want because you show up that way. However, if you show up to your job and you say, you know what? This isn't my dream job, but I'm going to be the person I am with character, show up early, stay late, work hard, do my best. Opportunity is going to present itself, and it may be inside of that company. Maybe just the position you have is really what you hate. And someone says, you know what, you're way too good or way too talented or way too positive. We need to give you more opportunity, more responsibility. And I think that's where fulfillment starts opening up, is, again, back to your perspective, which I really respect, going through all these challenges, because anybody who goes through what you go through, most people don't have the perspective that you had through it.
No doubt.
And so I think that if you're listening to this, I would hope that even if you are that person that's miserable at your job, that you wake up tomorrow and just be the best you can be, and that's going to inspire other people around you to perform better too.
Okay, so the person is listening to that, like, okay, that's resonating with me right now. How do I change? I don't even know how to change. I'm going to tell you right now how to change. Smile.
Yeah.
Eye contact. Smile.
Yeah.
You do those two nonverbal things, your life will your life change?
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course.
There it is. So there, ladies and gentlemen, that you hate your job, that we just got done talking about, eye contact and smile.
Yeah.
Your life will change.
Decide to enjoy today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a good day. So how do we find happiness?
Yeah.
Or what was it? Happiness?
Yeah. How do you, I mean, you're in the situation you're in. You've overcome all this. What's the key to continuously overcome and continue to find that happiness and joy through life, regardless of what your circumstances may be?
Comes down to the challenges, man.
Yeah.
You got to have challenges.
Yeah.
So now, but instead of getting through a challenge and, hey, everybody, look what I did. Look what I did. It's like, well, look what we did. We just did impossible things. We did things that had never been done before. So let's go on to this next challenge. Oh, we got our butts kicked. What do we need to change? Oh, now look what we did. Yeah. So that's where joy comes from, is from your challenges. If you're tired of your challenges, this life's about long suffering, man. Mm-hmm. It's joy is in
Make
the pain.
friends with suffering, you'll never be alone.
There you
right?
go.
True.
Amen to
It's
that.
peaks and valleys, right? It is. It's peaks and valleys. It's like you have a goal to reach this destination. You get to the top and you're like, oh yeah, the view's good. But after a few minutes, you're like, all right, time to move on.
Let's go do another one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just the way life goes. It's that dopamine hit, right? I think it was posted today on Solid's account. I was talking about the hunt that we did, hiking in there. It's hard, but then when you get there, it's so beautiful. But I don't think it would be as beautiful as if you just drove in.
Nope.
Right.
Agree.
Yeah. So it's in the challenge. The joy is in the heartache.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Cool, man. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. So flip the coin, everybody. There's two sides to every coin. We've all heard it. I'm paralyzed, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Then now I can talk about all the things that are crap about it, but who cares about that? I'm here, and I shouldn't be here. So I feel like I've paid for the game, and I'm in triple overtime. And every breath I'm present. So anxiety comes from worrying about the future. Depression comes from what did I do in the past? Stop. The past is the past, man. So if you've been divorced, get over it, get on with it, move forward. Let's go.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to keep continuing to hear about XYZ. No, I don't want to come on the podcast and talk about how horrible my life was through paralysis and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, because I'm going places. So I want to take this present moment and talk about, hey, you want to go? Because it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Great perspective.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. Today's been inspiring, man. I appreciate you coming on, and
Big time.
Thanks for having
it's
me.
been so awesome to hear your story, dude.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
It has. Yeah, this will be good. We'll enter this, so we're a couple weeks ahead, but we'll get you. We'll get you in
So
there.
how do people get in contact with you if they want to connect with you? Something resonated. How do people get in contact with you?
Yeah, I'm a life coach. I do mostly public speaking.
Okay.
Get a hold of me on any social media platform, just through Matt Blanchard.
Cool.
With LinkedIn, Matt Blanchard.
We'll make sure we
anything.
tag them all in the.
Yeah, that'd be great.
description.
So yeah, through Facebook, Insta. I don't do Twitter or whatever it's called now. Is it
X.
called X?
X, yeah.
X.
It's a place to be
and I'm
now, dude.
I'm grateful for that too. That's all changed.
True.
So grateful. And then through LinkedIn. So just look me up, book me, and let's go build your company. Let's go build your teams, and let's go win.
Awesome, man.
I love it. Good. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Yeah.